Hello, YouTube. Wanted to hop on here. I just actually heard something on the radio that floored me, and I wanted to make a quick video about it. There's a lot of conspiracy theories out there that float around about George Soros and large moneyed interests that are trying to affect U.S. politics and things like this. And I usually just don't even pay attention. To me, it's just a bunch of noise. You just have various people that get riled up by, Fox News or Hannity or Tucker or something, and they go on and on. I mean, not that I don't think there's something to, any of it, but I just don't. I don't really hop on the bandwagon with there being like these dark forces that are. But I just heard something on Bloomberg Radio that absolutely floored me. And it has to do with who is behind this push that's been going on to try to get Donald Trump off the presidential ballot in several states, which to me is, look, even if you think Donald Trump is the worst guy around, that's, let the voters solve that. Why would these liberal organizations and the Democrats in general, why would they open themselves? They're just basically fulfilling the stereotype which says that they are doing the very things which they accuse others of doing. And it makes no sense to me. Why would they do it? Just let the voters decide. Make your case and let the voters decide. Why do they got to go? They're gonna end up getting Trump elected again because they're being so blatant about their bias and their attempt to basically interfere with the election. I mean, they're really trying all sorts of nasty, underhanded, tricksy ways to try to rig the game and keep Trump from getting elected. If you really think Trump is so bad and you really think he's so, has no credibility and everything, just let the voters decide it. I mean, the fact that they're not shows that they don't really believe a lot of what they're saying, but I'm getting way off my point, which is, I just heard this piece on Bloomberg Law, which absolutely floored me about who is behind this movement and how they're operating and how they're doing it. And the crazy thing of it is it's almost exactly what the conspiracy theory people have said. I mean, it's crazy. It's just, it boggles your mind that these people would be so blatant about it. But anyways, take a listen to this, and then I'll have some comments about it.
This is Bloomberg Law with June Grosso from Bloomberg Radio.
Donald Trump's removal from primary ballots in Colorado and Maine was a win for two activist groups funded largely by liberal donors that have worked methodically to transform a scholarly thought experiment about the 14th Amendment into a real-world legal strategy. Joining me is Bloomberg News legal reporter Emily Birnbaum, who's written about the groups. Give us a little bit of the history of this 14th Amendment effort, which started with legal scholars.
Yeah, so the question of whether Trump could be deemed an insurrectionist under the 14th Amendment has been ongoing essentially since the events of January 6th. So legal experts have pointed to Section 3 of the 14th Amendment and said, this could potentially result in Trump being banned from the ballot, as well as other lawmakers who were involved in the January 6th Capitol Hill riots. So legal scholars have been debating it, as well as activists, so that includes the liberal group Free Speech for People. As early as 2021, they had initiated a campaign to get people to submit letters to their secretaries of state asking for Trump not to be allowed on the ballot in 2024.
Now, let me hop in right here. Now, you already know that something very nefarious and very, I just have to say, kind of very wrong is going on. Did you notice the name of the people who are trying to keep Trump off the ballot? They formed a legal entity called Free Speech for People. I mean, you know, this is a classic Orwellian sort of doublespeak where you, like, it's like the Inflation Reduction Act, you know, something that does exactly the opposite of what it claims to do. So getting a candidate thrown off the ballot is what goes on in banana republics. It's what, you know, it's what goes on in Putin's Russia. It's what goes on in dictatorships, authoritarian countries. The idea that you have an organization called Free Speech for People that's designed to interfere with the election and to get the opposition thrown off the ballot is classic Orwellian doublespeak. So you already know something really, really nasty is going on here. But wait until you hear who is behind Free Speech for People. It's crazy.
Responsibility and ethics in Washington get involved.
They're a more recent entry into the debate, but they're a very powerful force in Washington. They're really well known. They have a lot of money compared to a lot of other advocacy groups. So they got involved more starting last year. They said, Trump, if you are going to run for president again, then we're going to oppose you under the 14th Amendment. And so they got involved, particularly in the Colorado case, which is the case that made it to the Supreme Court and probably the most important case in the country right now.
How do they raise money?
So Crew has been around for decades now, and the main source of their funding is some well-known liberal philanthropists, so that includes George Soros. His nonprofits have been giving to Crew for, over a decade now. They have gotten money from a lot of different liberal foundations, and they started off as a staunchly nonpartisan organization, fighting corruption in government. And around the 90s, they became associated more with the left.
And what about Free Speech for People?
Free Speech for People is a group that was actually founded out of the 2010 Citizens United decision by the Supreme Court. So they were a group founded to fight the issue of money in politics. They also have some pretty well-known liberal funders. So the most recent grants that they've gotten, most significant grants that they've gotten have been from Craig Newmark. So he's the founder of Craigslist. He's known for giving to a lot of, election integrity causes. So they have kind of changed from 2010 from a money in politics fighting organization to more broadly a fighting corruption in government organization.
Isn't that crazy? They started out as an organization, nonpartisan organization, fighting money in politics. And what have they become? They've become money in politics. They're rich people. It's exactly who you think it is. Soros, Craig Newmark. I mean, we're talking about your big, totally biased, totally left-wing partisan. The guys who are the poster children for everything that the conspiracy theorists say, they're the ones who are actually funding this crap to try to interfere with the election and get Trump thrown off the ballot. And fighting money in politics. They literally are money in politics. They're rich people who are trying to interfere with the election. That's all it is. It's rich people who don't like what the masses are voting for, and they're trying to use their massive, huge piles of money to interfere with the election. They're trying to limit who you can vote for. They're trying to, whatever they can do. Obviously, they're free to run ads and on any issue, and that's fair. They can say why they think Trump is a bad guy and have ads saying Trump is a bad guy and nobody should vote for him. But when you go to the point of you're going to try to interfere with who's on the ballot by the 14th Amendment, using the 14th Amendment. And let's be clear about something right now. Anybody who thinks that there is any legitimacy to this 14th 14th Amendment issue to get Trump removed on the basis that he's supposedly an insurrectionist. This is complete nonsense. I would point you to the Peter Schiff podcast. And Peter Schiff, by the way, is not a big Trump fan. He's been very critical of Trump on a lot of issues. But he did a whole podcast, and has done several, but he did one specifically where he went through and showed how this whole argument is complete and utter nonsense. First of all, the part in the 14th Amendment dealing with this was aimed at Civil War generals who had actually fought against, taken up arms to fight against the United States. Okay, Donald Trump has never been had even charges brought against him, let alone been convicted of taking up arms, any kind of armed insurrection. And that's what insurrection means. Insurrection is not, you told your followers that you thought the election results were rigged and stuff. Oh, and so some of them got out of hand at a protest. This is complete nonsense. It's a complete disingenuous argument. Donald Trump is not an insurrectionist. The 14th Amendment does not apply. What Colorado and these other states, any state that has Trump thrown off the ballot, they are themselves breaking the Constitution. It probably doesn't matter, honestly, because Trump, in most of these states, Trump doesn't have a chance. And if anything, it actually helps Trump because it's so blatantly unfair. It's so blatantly biased and so blatantly anti-American that it actually, I think, really lights a fire under Trump's support and gives him a better chance of winning. But yeah, I mean, okay, just let me just kind of summarize here because I'm kind of all over the place. There's no merit to the 14th Amendment argument. The people who are pushing it are not, these are not some sort of a grassroots groundswell of opposition out there among average, everyday working Americans. No, this is exactly who the conspiracy theorists say it is. It's George Soros, okay, and his ilk, guys like Craig Newmark and who knows who else. Big, huge money, rich people, left-wingers who don't like how the voters are voting, and they were looking to get their money into the game to rig the game in their favor and away from the voters making the decision. So that's all I wanted to say. Hey, whether you like Trump or you hate Trump, it doesn't really matter, because I think we all should be on board that this is a really bad idea. Because if you don't think that this can be used against your favorite candidate, be that Bernie or RFK or Andrew Yang or whoever it might be, think again. Believe me, the powers that be will, if they get this sort of stuff through against Trump, they'll end up using this same sort of thing to rig other future elections the other way. And it's bad for the country. That's all. Left, right, center, I think we should all agree this is a bad precedent, and you leave this up to the voters. That is the American way. Let the voters decide. All right, that's it for today. Catch you next time.